France. There's 61 names there, from Menes to Jehotimes III. You have the Palermo stone around 2500 BCE, and that's located in Italy. The Narmer's head, UC 15989 in Petri Museum, London, and the famous Narmer Hotel. Introduction to Kemet, the missing link in Black history. I am Shatan Kemet. My goal is for you to learn and understand some information that you probably never came across before. For this reason, the beginning is going to be somehow meticulous because it's necessary. We are dealing with thousands of years of knowledge. We're going to deal with primary sources, originals. There's going to be name, dates, and places. So let's get right into it. Africa, Afrika. I'm not going to waste time about the Middle East plain because it doesn't make sense, as you can see. I'm going to break down the word Kemet for you. That's the hieroglyph, the Meduneta. Now the first symbol, that's for Kem. It's a piece of charcoal, of course crocodile skin, because that's what it's described as most of the time. Then you have the loaf of bread, that's the sign for T. Then the bird is actually an O, and that's for M. That sign there is the town, village, settlement, Egypt, Thebe. The numbers in bracket are the Gardner list number, and it can be useful, even though our ancestors obviously didn't use that. Some of you might say, fine, okay, but where can we see Kemet? No problem. This is the second Kamose Stela, number J43, at Luxor Museum in Kemet, Egypt. We are going to see where it's showing, that's line 23. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Here it is, in the middle of your screen. There's a slight close-up with the Meduneta transcript underneath. How old is Kemet? Thousands of years old. The first dynasty starts around 3100 BCE. Menes or Narmer or Mena is the king of the first dynasty. We're not even talking about pre-dynasty period. Some of you might wonder, really? Show and prove. No problem. Here is the royal list of Abydos located in Kemet. It gives in chronological order 76 kings from Menes, that's Narmer, to Seti I. Then you have the ancestors chapel of King Jehotimes, commonly known as Thutmose III. It's from the Temple of Ammon in Karnak, number E13481 bis in the Louvre Museum in France. There's 61 names there, from Menes to Jehotimes III. You have the Palermo stone around 2500 BCE, and that's located in Italy. The Narmer's head, UC 15989 in Petri Museum, London, and the famous Narmer palette, CG 14716 in Cairo Museum. This is 5,000 years old. Why is it called Egypt today? It comes from Het Kapta, the house of the Ka of Ptah, which gives Aegyptos in Greek, Aegyptus in Latin, and finally Egypt in English. Het Kapta is Memphis, and that's what the US town is named after. I am going to show you where our ancestors wrote Het Kapta about 3,000 years ago, but first I want you to get some understanding about the source that I will use. Pert M. Heru, commonly known as the Book of the Dead. It's a papyrus that's 3,000 years old, kept at the British Museum, number 10470. It's a compilation of spells and things to get you through the afterlife. It has to do with spirituality. Every time we quote the book, that's the edition that I'm on. You need to understand that there's all the versions, right? People will have that when they die, it'd be there with them in the coffin, and you have different ones, and I can give you examples. Here's the Pert Emheru of Hunefer, around 1300 BCE, located at the British Museum. This one is the Pert Emheru of Nat. Same date in British Museum again. Pert Emheru of Nebseni, 1400 BCE. Same location in London. Pert Emheru of the scribe Nebked. That one is in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. Those texts are derived from older ones called the coffin text. And here's an example right there. Coffin text of Goa around 1800 BCE from Der El Bersha in Kemet, number EA30840 in the British Museum. That's well over 3,000 years old. The coffin texts are derived from older texts, which are the pyramid text. And there you can see the pyramid text of Unas around 2300 BCE. That's well over 4,000 years old. And then the pyramid text of Teti the First in Saqqara, Kemet. Okay, now why is it called the Book of the Dead? Because it was found in coffin generally, like the one for Ani, for the scribe Ani. And we can check out the real name. It's actually in the book. So let's have a look.
If it were easy to make money in the stock market, everybody would be doing it. They're not rich, and you know there's a reason why. I'm telling you, the stock market has changed my life, and I've learned some really simple techniques that can help you become consistently profitable. I'm Jeff Bishop. I'm the co-founder of RagingBull.com, the world's fastest growing stock market education website. I'm also the world's top...
Page 28, the common name for the Book of the Dead, Pert Emheru, which words have been variously translated, manifested in the light, coming forth from the day. Page 355, it tells you that it's on plate 5. Okay, and here's a breakdown of plate 5, Pert Emheru. Now, why do we talk about plates? The papyrus of Ani was found and it was 20 meters long. So what is Purge who bought it, cut it into 37 pieces. That's why we are talking about plates. And there we're dealing with plate 5. And I'm showing you where Pert Emheru is written. Let's have a look now. We're going to zoom in. There it is. That's right there. So I'm just going to cut that and then show you the Meduneta transcript. And it's just right there, Pert Emheru. You will notice that the hieroglyph is slightly different. It's because it's cursive hieroglyph. Remember, I told you I would show you Het Kapta. Let's go. Page 438. Check out the Meduneta for Het Kapta. Underneath, we have the translation. That's line 7. There it is. Now, on the previous page, it tells us that it's on plate 15. So let's bring it up. There it is. And we're going to zoom in. That's the one there. It's not that clear. So we look at another page. That's 490. Here's the Meduneta once again. It tells us that it's on plate 19. So that's plate 19 right there. We're going to zoom in. And there we go. It looks slightly better. Here's a close-up. And you can see that it's made up of sign Q3X1, V28, D28, and O49. Now you definitely know the origin of the word Egypt. Now we're going to move on to something else. Let's deal with the word Pharaoh. It doesn't mean king, it means house. On the left you have Sultan, the original name that our ancestors used to describe a king. And on the right you have the Pharaoh symbols, the hieroglyphic signs. So it's all broken down to you, as well as Sultan, with the Gardiner list numbers if you want to take it further. Now on page 459, that's plate 16, you can see the word Sultan and you have the translation. We're looking at line 6 right there. I am crowned upon my throne like the king of the gods. Now you do have the sign there, and also the 3 hatchets. They're not flag, they're actually hatchets. That's a symbol for Neteru. If you have one, then that's Neter. Okay, it's clear there in the middle. Another one that might be of interest to you. That's page 352, plate 2. We're looking at line 8. Homage to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That probably reminds you of something. Yes, Revelations 19:16. You have King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Also, Revelation 17:14, Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Let's move on. In this edition of the Pert Emheru from the same author, we can see how to pronounce the word for praise and adoration, which is Toi, there on page 8. And then underneath you have it again, Toi, adoration. Now you can see that in the edition that we're dealing with on several pages. First you have page 339. There, line 1, hymn of praise to Ra. You also have it on page 342. There again, praise to Ra. Page 347, and also on page 487, on page 496, and finally on page 511. So praise, adoration, toi, praise of Ra, toi, Ra. Doesn't that sound like something you heard before? Think harder. There it is. Now it might just be a coincidence, who knows, but I just wanted to show you that. Let's move on. You can look up the legend of the destruction of humanity, otherwise called the Book of the Celestial Cow or Book of the Heavenly Cow. Could be another coincidence, just like those names, Thutmose, Kamos, Amos, Amenmos. Next, Papyrus d'Aubierne at the British Museum. Compare the tale of two brothers with Genesis 39, verse 6 onwards. You have fun. Famine stela of King Josiah around 2600 BCE. In a period of 7 years, grain was corn, compared with Genesis 41, verse 30, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. Papyrus Leiden in Holland, between 1800 and 1600 BCE. Now, even if Moses existed, he wasn't even born yet. Chapter 2, line 10. Indeed, the river is blood. Exodus 7:20. The waters that were in the river were turned to blood. There's plenty of other so-called coincidences. Let's deal with them. Chapter 2. Blood is everywhere. Exodus 7:21. There was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. Chapter 2. Men shrink from human beings and thirst after water. Exodus 7:24. And all the Egyptians dig round about the river for water to drink. Chapter 2. He who places his brother in the ground is everywhere. Exodus 12:30. There was not a house where there was not one dead. Now, probably the most famous papyrus in the world, plate 31 and 32 of the Pert en Heru, the Papyrus of Ani, commonly called Negative Confessions, Admonitions of Ma'at, Declaration of Innocence, or Principles of Ma'at. We're going to have a look. It's on page 576 that is translated. Right now we are going to compare the laws of Ma'at with the 10 Commandments. Let's have a look. Page 576, like I said, from the translation. Negative Confession number 27, I have not blasphemed. Exodus 20, verse 7, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord. Negative Confession number 24, I have not transgressed the law. Exodus 20, verse 8, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Negative Confession number 4, I have not slain man and woman. Verse 13, you shall not murder. Negative Confession number 3, I have not stolen. Exodus 20, verse 15, you shall not steal. Negative Confession number 8 and 18 respectively, I have not uttered lies, I have slandered no man. Verse 16, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. 20 and 21, I have not debauched the wife of any man. Verse 17, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Hopefully you will forgive me if the quality is not so great. You're supposed to see it all there in full screen.
I'm Jeff Bishop. I'm the co-founder of RagingBull.com. I'm one of the world's top real money stock
mode. Also, let me avoid any confusion. If you see the Bible quoted, it doesn't mean that I believe in it. I'm the type of person who pay attention to the original, not the copy. And even though most people go the other way around, that's because they do not know any better. Some people might tell you, look, the ancient Egyptians worshipped the sun, and so on. You just quote Psalm 84, verse 11. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. Hopefully they'll leave you alone, because either they go by the book or they shouldn't tell you anything at all. You cannot just pick and choose what suits you.
Exactly.
Let's move on. Now I have to do this, especially for those who don't know. They keep repeating lies, so we have to keep saying the truth. The race of the ancient Egyptians. Now, Herodotus, nicknamed the father of history, he lived way after Kemet was finally invaded, which was around 600 BC. It was there 200 years later, more or less. And still at that time, he said, thirdly, it is certain that the natives of the country are black with the heat. And in saying that the dove was black, they indicate that the woman was Egyptian. He goes on to say, the Egyptians said they believed that the Colchians were a portion of the army of Sesostris. That this was so, I conjectured myself, not only because they are dark-skinned and have curly hair. And he used the word olutrikes for nappy hair. That's just in case they say that, it's a bad translation. Next, we have Aristotle, who lived 100 years after Herodotus. He says, those who are too black are cowards, like, for instance, the Egyptians and Ethiopians. He used the words agon melanes, which is Greek for excessively black. Once again, in case they try to pull that wrong translation thing. Next, Volney. He was speaking about the Copts. What a subject for meditation to see the present barbarism and ignorance of the Copts, descendants of the alliance between the profound genius of the Egyptians and the brilliant mind of the Greeks. Just to think that this race of black men, today our slave and the object of our scorn, is the very race to which we owe our art, science, and even the use of speech. Next, Champollion. You might have heard that name before. That's because he is the first European to decipher the hieroglyphs, thanks to the Rosetta Stone, which is in the British Museum.
We find their Egyptians and Africans represented in the same way.
Egyptians and Africans represented in the same way, which could not be otherwise.
No otherwise.
Now I'm going to show you what he was describing. That's a painting from the tomb of Seti I. It represents the races of men as known by the ancient Egyptians.
They plastered over that shit.
It is greatly damaged and it doesn't look natural to me.
Yeah.
I think some stuff were bothering them that they didn't want us to know.
Yeah.
Because not only you have the image, but also you have the Meduneta, the hieroglyph, which describes the scene.
Yep.
But anyway, there is that drawing there, which is supposed to represent what I just shown. And it suits them because they're trying to say that the darker complexion is a Sudanese and then the one on the right is an Egyptian. But it's not the only place where they have shown the races of men as known to them. And Champollion actually talks about this in the letter to his brother. For example, there's the tomb of Ramesses III, and there's a German archaeologist called Lepsius who has made a drawing to depict that. Now, before I read it, I want to let you know that Cheikh Anta Diop actually used that image for the cover of his book Nation et Agriculture, which is the French equivalent to African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. Now, what is written says, this painting from the tomb of Ramesses III, 1200 BC, shows that the Egyptians saw themselves as black and painted themselves as such without possible confusion with the Indo-Europeans, Caucasoids, or the Semites. It is a representation of the races in their most minute differences, which ensures the accuracy of the colors. Throughout their entire history, the Egyptians never entertained the fantasy of portraying themselves by types B or D. Now, A is the Egyptian seen by himself, black type. B is the Indo-European, C the other blacks in Africa, and D the Semite. Now, I do not know if that description is actually on Lepsius' book because I haven't read it and I haven't seen it. But I know for a fact that the image is because Job has made the references in his book, okay? Now, keeping with the topic, race and color, I want to address the red thing there. I know they're throwing that a lot. You need to understand that 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, people didn't just walk to a shop and say, hello, sir, can I please have some black paint? Thank you. No, it didn't work like that. What they had to do is use nature to come up with the coloring, okay? And one thing is the red ochre. That was abundant over there. And I'm going to give references for you to see. And I'm going to show you even more. Let's have a look. Life and Death in Ancient Egypt by Sigrid Heder-Hoenes, page 19. Red was produced almost exclusively from natural iron oxides abundant in Egypt. Egypt Revisited by Ivan van Sertima, page 53.
Even van
Egyptians,
Sertima.
the dark red race myth. The myth of the Egyptians belonging to the so-called dark red race was created in the early 19th century and continues to be perpetuated by modern scholars and
This premise
is based primarily upon the color generally used to depict the ancient Egyptians on wall and papyrus paintings and statues. I am of the opinion, similarly expressed by the late Senegalese scholar Cheikh Anta Diop, that there was no such thing as a dark red race. This hue, in fact, was also used in a symbolic context. Now look at these sisters from Namibia. They are from the Himba tribe. They are covered in red. There's another one who is covered from head to toe, the whole body.
They still out there right now.
We also have that in Kenya. You can see it there.
They still there.
And just in case you want to say it's only sisters so far.
All your ancestors, all y'all people,
get an ID.
Whatever tribe you from,
now, they probably say, look,
they still fucking there.
They were not black. They were not African.
They still there.
Of a red race. They came from, I don't know.
Whatever blood you got, it's still there. They still there.
They were mixed race. And
the people still there.
Anyway, compare the crown with the hairstyle.
Georgia's 186 hospitals serve 10.6 million Georgians and support over half.
Nefertiti, that's her real face. I know you're used to this one, but that one is fake, it's anonymous. I recommend to the sisters not to wear it. Here's a close-up. Compare the braid on that brother there.
I'm talking about, now look at that shit right there. Now you look at that shit right there. Look at that right there now. Akhenaten daughter. And this is a child from Namibia. Now you tell me this shit ain't still going on. This the way they drawed it. They seen it like that. That's what they seen. If y'all motherfucker can't draw. Y'all try to draw that little black child right here from Namibia. Y'all ass will be drawing some more shit. You try and draw Akhenaten daughter, you'll be drawing some goddamn shit look like SpongeBob with dreads. But y'all see what it is. Black folk, all black. Don't act like you don't see that shit. Don't even act like you don't see it.
With Akhenaten's daughter, compare Tutankhamun's necklace with this sister from Kenya.
Okay. Who wearing these necklaces? Who wearing them? You tell me who wearing some shit like that right there besides that. No disrespect, but y'all ain't seen no goddamn white folk running around with no shit like that right there. Hey, you seen the Browns, but the Brown, that's us too, the Indians too. But you have not seen no white folk walking around with no goddamn necklace and headband like that right there. You ain't seen it. But let me stop.
Check out the colors.
Just look at the colors like the man said.
Compare the shape of Akhenaten's head with this brother from Rwanda.
And that's Akhenaten's head now. We just seen his daughter now. And they real shit. This ain't no made up shit. This real fucking shit. Look how your head was made. Could be a hat. It could be a hair. You can't tell. You don't never know what it is. But her head made like that. Because they used to shape their head when they was babies. They used to shape their head as soon as the baby was born. They get the baby and start shaping the baby head. Because the baby head was real soft, when you're a child And they never like cartilage and shit till it start to get hard, so they be shaping their motherfucking head and shit. They have their head looking long as a motherfucker. That's what they did. Hey, it is what it is. But you see the picture right here. These ain't nothing but these niggas. These niggas. Look at this nigga right here. I was locked up with a nigga nigga named Gary. Look just like this nigga Akhenaten. Look just like Akhenaten. Long head, nose, all that shit. That Gary. That Gary right there. I don't care what nobody say. I know these motherfuckers were black. You know they were black. All of them were black. Look at a little unk right there upside down coming out. Unk coming down, rays coming out there. I wonder if they see that right there. Look at that nigga head.
Another Himba sister from Namibia and Akhenaten's daughter on the right. Look at the top of the hair. Watch carefully. Another Tutsi brother. It's not the same as before, but obviously the hairstyle is similar. You can
Here we go again. So here we go again now. Here we go again. Y'all go subscribe to that man channel, man. For real though. Y'all don't want to subscribe to mine, go subscribe to his. Either way. Look at this nigga in the middle. Look at this nigga in the middle, man. Look at this nigga in the middle. And look at the statues. And y'all be wondering why you think they head be made like that all the time. Like they shit just be made like that. Nah, y'all see these niggas' heads these days. Y'all see these niggas' heads. How these niggas' head made. Y'all better go look at these niggas. They be their hair, man. Back in the day. You have to draw this nigga right here on the wall. Draw this nigga head right there on the wall. It'll fit in right there with the one on the left. It'll fit in with all of them. All of them will fit in. I see a nigga like I said, I see a nigga look like that today. Look just like that nigga.
can compare that with the blue crown. Have a look at Akhenaten's mother.
Y'all already know what that is.
This is Khufu.
You know what that is. That was the box. That was the box. Just seen the afro.
Joseph. You can see
That
that
the
he
box.
didn't like his nose.
That was them dread. Long
Trying to
beard.
protect. No, this is not a fez.
With the box. That's a box.
Tahaka.
Oh, we know it's a box.
Akhenaten lived around 1300 BCE. David, if he existed, lived around 1000 BCE. That's 300 years apart. Akhenaten was there 3 centuries before David, if he existed. I'm going to show you a case of plagiarism. Some might say it's just a coincidence.
Nope.
What you are looking at is the hymn to Aten, otherwise called the Great Hymn to Aten. Now, Aten is the god that Akhenaten was worshipping. Don't want to go through the whole story because it's available, but this was found in Armana. The original name was Akhet Aten, which means the horizon of Aten. That sounds similar to Akhenaten's name. Now, what I'm about to do is compare the hymn to Aten with Psalm 104. And I will only say the verses because it's all in the same chapter, which is, once again, Psalm 104. Hymn to Aten. When you set in the western horizon of the sky, the earth is in darkness. Verse 20. You bring on darkness and night falls. Hymn to Aten. Every lion comes forth from his den. Verse 21. The young lion roar after their prey. Hymn to Aten. At daybreak, when thou arisest on the horizon. Verse 22. The sun ariseth. Hymn to Aten. All the world, they do their work. Verse 23. And man goes out to work. Hymn to Aten. Trees and plants are flourishing. Verse 16. The trees of the Lord are full of sap. Hymn to Aten. The birds which fly from their nests. Verse 12. Beside them the birds of the heaven dwell. Hymn to Aten. The ships are sailing north and south as well. Verse 26. There go the ships. Hymn to Aten. Who giveth breath to sustain all that he has made. Verse 29. When you take away their breath, they die. Hymn to Aten. You supply his necessities. Verse 28. That thou givest them, they gather. Hymn to Aten. How manifold it is, what thou hast made. Verse 24. O Lord, how manifold are thy works. Hymn to Aten. For thou hast set an Nile in heaven, that it may descend for them and make waves upon the mountains. Verse 13. He waters the hills from his upper chambers. Hymn to Aten. Thou makest the seasons in order to rear all that thou hast made, the winter to cool them, and the heat that they may taste.
They stole all that shit.
Verse 19.
They stole all that shit.
The moon for seasons.
All that
The
shit.
sun knows it's going down. Now,
3
what is
centuries.
the most common symbol when you think of justice? Most of the time, that's a woman who is usually
Oh, the
blindfolded with a scale. Now, look at plate 3 from the Papyrus of Ani, which is once again in the British Museum. In the middle,
We gotta go
you
get
have
that
a
shit.
scale.
We gotta go get
On
that
the
shit.
left of the scale, whoever is being judged, that's
Whoever
his
in the
heart
British,
inside of that
everybody in the
heart.
British,
On the right, you have the feather of
Hey,
the heart, which
go
is
get that
Demeter, the
shit.
goddess of
it's time for them to
justice,
return that shit back to Africa.
reciprocity, and so on. So once again, a feminine principle.
They done preserved it long
Okay.
enough.
When you think of a jury, you think of a tribunal. There's 12 people who make up the jury. Now let's look on the top. You have 12 people on the top.
Okay.
Just above the scale of justice. This, some people might say it's just a coincidence once again, but I don't care. This is a fact, and you can just make up whatever you want of it. But just be reminded that this is about 3,000 years old. Okay? Let's move on.
Hell yeah.
Now, what you are looking at is the Dendera Zodiac, located in the Louvre Museum in France. It was originally in Kemet. It represents the stars, and because of the presentation format, you might not be able to see it in details, but if you put Dendera Zodiac on search engines, you should see some better representations. It's the oldest zodiac known, the oldest circular zodiac known. Some of you might have heard about a mention of Israel in an ancient Egyptian document. They are talking about the Merneptah stele, erroneously called the Israel stele. It's in Egypt, in the Cairo Museum. Now, I'm going to show you the line, the part that they claim means Israel. Okay, on the actual stele, you read it from right to left, but for clarity's sake, you're gonna see it underneath from left to right. So what I've done, right, because it's a bit technical there, is for those who want to take it further and maybe learn the hieroglyphs, the meduneta.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what you gotta do.
The meaning of each symbols, and underneath I have put their number according to the cardinal list. Okay. So then you basically have a breakdown of the meaning of that actual part. It's not the whole sentence, but that's the part that we are interested in. Some of those symbols, you probably notice that there is no description, like no translations, because it doesn't actually mean a letter. It's just to give a better definition. You know, it's an ideogram, that's what it is, okay? But basically, what it spells is Isri-ar, or Isrir, okay? And that's how it's spelled most of the time, okay? And another thing that's important, The last symbols is a man and a woman, and underneath you have the 3 strokes for the plural. So that tells you that it's talking about people, not an actual place. So it's talking about people. So saying that it means Israel is wrong, definitely. Okay? So if anybody is trying to throw that at you, then you know how to get back at them. All right? That's very important because there's so many misconceptions. And the funny thing as well is that they are always trying to use, when it comes to archaeology, and they try to have some legitimacy, they always have to go to the Egyptian documents. You understand? Anyway, let's move on. Now, I think you will find this interesting. Daily Life of the Ancient Egyptians by Bob Brier, page 235. Egyptian woman gave birth sitting down, so gravity assisted the baby's exit, permitting less forceful contractions. Doctors probably did not assist at childbirth. That's what it probably looked like at the time. Then we are told how they will find out the gender of the child. On the same page, it goes on to say, the woman urinated on 2 test patches of emmer and barley seeds for several days. If either grew, she was pregnant. If only the barley sprouted, she would have a boy. If only the emmer, it would be a girl. Okay, soon I will show some visuals, but before that, I want you to see once again how they have copied some writings from our ancestors, and it ended up in the Bible. What we're going to deal with is Amenemope, who lived between 1290 and 1190 BCE. That was during the 19th dynasty. And his writings are in the British Museum. It's called the Amenemope Papyrus, and it's dated around 1000 BCE. We're going to compare that with the Proverbs, and Solomon is the alleged author of the Proverbs. He lived around 950 BCE. So you can clearly see that Amenemope was around way before that. Okay. Now, Amenemope's instructions, chapter 1. Give your ears and hear what is said. Proverbs 22:17. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise. Amenemope, chapter 1. Give your mind over to their interpretation. It is profitable to put them in your heart. Proverbs 22:17. And apply thine heart unto my knowledge. Amenemope, chapter 6. Do not displace the surveyor's marker on the boundaries of the arable land.
I'm gonna play a little longer.
10. Remove not the old
y'all
landmark,
go check it out
and
yourself.
enter not into the fields of the fatherless.
Go look at the rest of it.
Amenemope,
And go
chapter
subscribe
7.
to that man channel. So
Riches
y'all
come
don't want
to
to
you
subscribe
by
to my
theft.
goddamn channel.
They will not spend the night with you.
You
They
ain't gotta
have made
subscribe to me, but
themselves
I ain't doing it for no
wings
likes
like
and no.
and they fly
No
up
money.
to the sky. Proverbs 23:5. Whilst thou set thine eyes upon that
You
which
can
is
look.
not,
You ain't gotta
for
click on
which
it.
is certainly make themselves wings, they fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Amenemope, chapter 9. Do not fraternize with the hot-tempered man, nor approach him to converse. Proverbs 22:24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious
Don't make
man
no
thou
friendship
shalt
with no
not
angry
come.
man.
Amenemope, chapter 10. God
I heard
hates
that.
one who falsifies words. His great abomination is duplicity. Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly
They
are
stole
his
it.
delight.
They stealing.
Amenemope in chapter
They stealing.
11. Do not covet the property of the dependent. Proverbs 22:22. Rob not the poor, because he is poor.
Okay, that's
Amenemope,
enough. That's
chapter
enough. That's
13.
enough.
Better it is to be
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough right there, man. That's a goddamn enough right there. Y'all see these folks don't do never goddamn steal. That's all they been doing, stealing all their time. Damn a favor, man. But let me get back out of here. But I just want to play that little something for y'all. Y'all may go check that shit out. Go check it out.